been attacked as a hippie supporter of eco-loons, the man who gave money to Just Stop Oil, who disrupted the rugby, the snooker, the Chelsea Flower Show, and who knows, I guess they'll be on standby for the derby this weekend and also the FA Cup final. Green energy boss Dale Vincent is in the crosshairs of the Daily Mail because of that, but above all, because he's given money to the Labour Party, is a supporter of Sir Keir Starmer as well. So Conservative MPs now lining up to say that Starmer and Labour should return the money. Well, Mr Vince, founder of Ecotricity, got in touch with us yesterday about those reports and joins us on the line. Morning to you.
Yeah, morning, Nick.
Are you going to be taking the advice of Jacob Rees-Mogg that you need to return this money?
Well, look, Jacob Rees-Mogg is a man that bases his business offshore in tax havens, right? I think that's immoral. He's avoiding tax by doing that. And all of the businesses that I've made are based here in Britain and pay tax here in Britain. And I think, Rees-Mogg needs to look closer to home for things he wants to be morally outraged about.
Well, why he says he's in a lather and other people are in a lather is because you give money to people who they think are behaving immorally by breaking the law, disrupting ordinary people's lives, stopping people getting to hospital, for example, for vital appointments, and disrupting major events that so many enjoy. Why'd you do it?
Because there's a greater harm being done in the world by the burning of fossil fuels, the oncoming climate crisis. We've begun to feel the effects of that already. 40,000 people across Europe died from excess heat last summer. That's part of the climate crisis. So people are dying, people are being made homeless, whole countries are flooding. And this is something that's growing in size and in potential harm for us. The UN and all other international bodies have been clear we have to stop exploring for new forms of oil.
Sure, lots of people would say hear to that, and they might send off their check to Greenpeace or Friends of the Earth. They might support political parties that agree with that, as you do. You're supporting lawbreakers, and you think that's legitimate?
Well, sometimes laws aren't just. And when that happens, people have to stand up and do something about it. This climate crisis will be with us for hundreds of years. It's so important that we stay close to 1.5 degree temperature rise, as agreed in Paris by the whole world in 2015.
The question is whether this tactic is working, I suppose, Mr. Vince. Just listen to this. You may have seen it already. It did the rounds on social media yesterday. A cyclist who was confronted by a group of Just Stop Oil protesters who were blocking the roads.
Everyone's just trying to go about their business, to go about their day. You might feel better about yourself. All you're doing is harming the cause. Because everyone hates you. I'm a Liberal. I always vote for Liberal. I'm a cyclist. And I live in North London. If I hate you, hippies like you. And you all feel better about yourself. But you're hurting the cause. You're hurting the green cause.
There we are. If you struggle to hear it, he was saying, everyone hates you. I'm a North London Liberal and a cyclist. You're harming the cause. Is it possible, Mr. Vince, that you are harming the cause that you think you're supporting?
By doing what? By giving them money?
By giving money not just to Just Stop Oil, but to the Labour Party. And therefore, the Labour Party's enemies are now trying to say, look, those are the sorts of people.
I'm with you. I think it is a desperate stretch for the right-wing press and Tory MPs actually to be saying there's a link here, this money should be given back. Look, the money's not dodgy. I'm not dodgy. It's all tax paid. I'm completely transparent. Almost the only person in the political sphere giving money that will talk about it on camera. The Tories get all kinds of dodgy money through offshore companies, and it's just not clear who's giving the money. That's not happening here. Right? I'm just being very open and honest. And yeah, they're going to try and make something of it. I understand that because they fear the polls and the coming election.
Well, there may be a reason they could make the same sort of allegations that people do about Tory donations, that there's a link between money and influence and policy. Are you saying there's no link between your £1.5 million to the Labour Party and the fact that it's just about to announce that it opposes any new oil or gas exploration in the North Sea?
Yes, there is no link of the kind that you're referring to. Actually, I mean, there's a link insofar as I support the Labour Party because of their green agenda, and actually not drilling for new oil and gas in the North Sea is an important part of anybody's green agenda. But as I understand it, Keir Starmer announced this in Davos last year. It's not new. It's just been drummed up as new this week. Now, I wasn't aware of that, but that's what I'm told.
Yeah, there's a formal policy announcement. So I think it's been hinted at. In fact, I discussed it with Ed Miliband on this programme at some stage. But there's a formal
There you go.
setting out of the
What's
policy.
the fuss about?
Still, well, the fuss is about that it might make us poorer as a nation. It might put a lot of people out of work.
How can you do that?
And,
how can you do that? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, the price of fossil fuels is set on international markets. It can't help us lower energy bills. It can't help us avoid another energy crisis.
Sure, but it can create jobs and it can generate income for the country in form of tax and so on.
We can,
Let's talk a bit about you.
Green energy. But we can do that with green energy, and we have to move to green energy sooner or later. It might as well be sooner.
Sure. Just for those people who don't know, you obviously know an enormous amount about green energy. We've talked to you about it before, wearing your hat as the founder of Ecotricity. Is it right that this all began? I mean, I think you're a self-proclaimed hippie at one point, weren't you? When you put a wind farm you put a wind farm, not a wind farm, a wind turbine. I'm so sorry, on the roof of your camper van at Glastonbury.
Well, not quite a camper van, not quite a Glastonbury, and not quite a wind turbine.
Well, it was accurate in every other way. Yeah, go on then, tell me the story.
Absolutely, you nailed it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I lived on the road for the entire decade of the 1980s, and I did go to Glastonbury in the early 90s, but I think I was on the crossover then, just about to drop back into kind of like let's call it normal living. But towards the end of my decade on the road, I did use small windmills to power my life and stuff like that, which is how I got to understand the technology. And in the early 90s, I saw that the climate crisis was a thing that was happening, that the biggest cause was the way we make electricity in Britain. And so I set about changing that. I dropped back in, tried to build a big windmill, started the world's first green energy company, and the rest, as they say, is history.
When did you last talk to the Labour leader?
Actually, it was last week on the phone, and it'd be the second time.
And did he say, look, come on, Dale, we'd love having your money and your support, but giving all that cash to Just Up Oil, that's not very helpful?
No, actually, he didn't.
Did you raise Just Stop Oil at all?
No.
And if he did ask you, would you stop because he thought it would be helpful?
I wouldn't.
Because?
Because I wouldn't, right? I mean, I do what I think is right. And I don't want to harm the cause, right? Labour's cause. I don't think that I am either. I think this is a lot of fuss by the right-wing media as an attempt to throw mud at Keir Starmer and Labour because of the polls in the coming election. I think they're afraid and they're desperate. And this is so desperate. I mean, where's the link, really?
Well,
what's the big deal?
I have a funny feeling a newspaper or two may try to establish what that link is in tomorrow's editions of the papers. So you might want to buy them, Delvin. Thanks for getting in touch. Yeah. Thanks for talking to us.
All right, pleasure, Nick. Cheers.